Okay, this is 5.1, which is an introduction to 3D graphing. And here we're supposed to plot each of these points and label them on this XYZ axis. So real quick, let's just look at this axis. Here we have the x-axis. This is the positive side, and this is the negative side of the x-axis. Here we have the y-axis. The solid portion is the positive. This is the negative, the dotted line. And on the z-axis, the solid portion here is positive and the negative portion is dotted. So let's look at a few examples. Let's start with point A. We're going +1, +2, +3. So the +1 is in the x direction. We want to show the path that we're taking as we go through the XYZ coordinates. So +1 in the x direction, +2 in the y direction, and +3 in the z direction. 1, 2, 3. So we end up at this point, and I'm going to label it A. And you want to make sure again to show the path that you took to get to that point. +1, +2, +3. Let's look at one with zeros. The x and the y values are both zeros here. So in the x direction, I'm not going to go anywhere. Same in the y direction, I'm not going to go anywhere. And in the z direction, I'm going to go +3. So 1, 2, 3. And so here's point C. Now let's look at a couple that have one or more of the coordinates negative. So here the x is negative, so I'm going to go -1 in the x direction, +3 in the y direction, 1, 2, 3, and +1 in the z direction. And I'm going to label this point E. Going to letter F, +3 in the x direction, so 1, 2, 3, -2 in the y direction, so we need to go in the negative direction 2, so 1, 2, and then +4 in the z direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is point F. Let's lastly look at point J. All of the coordinates are negative, so -3 in the x direction, -3 in the y direction, 1, 2, 3, and -3 in the z direction, so down 3. And you actually end up, if you go -3 in the x direction, -3 in the y direction, -3 in the z direction, you end up at the origin for point J.